Today is Friday, May 8th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today at the Big Book, we're on Chapter 8, Two Wives. We'll read page 113. At the 12 and 12, we're on Tradition 2. We'll read page 136. And of course, we'll read the 24 hours a day and daily reflection. So with that, hope y'all are doing well this beautiful Friday morning. I was loading up the car a little earlier and I just looked at the sunrise and I just thought, man, it made me think of Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost, which makes me think of The Outsiders. Great movie. So I hope y'all are staying gold this morning, and let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. All right, my friends. So if you recall from yesterday's reading out of the Big Book in Two Wives, which was kind of like, in a lot of ways, the birthplace or the foundation of Al-Anon, or at least the early days of Al-Anon, we've been talking about how we can work with spouses of alcoholics. Spouses who are alcoholics. And yesterday we talked about maybe working with other drunks, and how somehow that service work might help the husband who's drinking, or to suggest that they read the book. And we will continue with some more strategies on page 113. If he is enthusiastic, your cooperation will mean a great deal. If he is lukewarm or thinks that he is not an alcoholic, we suggest you leave him alone. Avoid urging him to follow our program. The seed has been planted in his mind. He knows that thousands of men, much like himself, have recovered. But don't remind him of this after he has been drinking, for he may be angry. Sooner or later, you are likely to find him reading the book once more. Wait until repeated stumbling convinces him that he must act, for the more you hurry him, the longer his recovery may be delayed. If you have husband number 3, then you may be in luck. Being certain he wants to stop, you can go to him with this volume as joyfully as though you had struck oil. He may not share your enthusiasm, but he is practically sure to read the book, and he may go for the program at once. If he does not, you will probably not have long to wait. Again, you should not crowd him. Let him decide for himself. Cheerfully see him through more sprees. Talk about his condition or this book only when he raises the issue. In some cases, it may be better to let someone outside the family present the book. They can urge action without arousing hostility. If your husband is otherwise a normal individual, your chances are good at this stage. You would suppose that men in the 4th classification would be quite hopeless, but that is not so. Many of Alcoholics Anonymous were like that. Everyone had given them up. Defeat seemed certain. Yet often, such men had spectacular and powerful recoveries. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on Tradition 2. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. Bottom of page 135 and 136. Oh, and yesterday we talked about the elder statesmen and the bleeding deacons. And hopefully over time, we can turn into the elder statesmen, giving quiet advice, patiently waiting the results of the group conscience, and, being the wise old wizard with the white beard and everything in the corner. But anyway, instead of getting our feelings hurt because we're no longer in charge. So we're on the bottom of page 135 and we'll read 136. When AA was only 3 years old, an event occurred demonstrating this principle. One of the first members of AA, entirely contrary to his own desires, was obliged to conform to group opinion. Here is the story in his words. One day I was doing a 12-step job at a hospital in New York. The proprietor, Charlie, summoned me to his office. "Bill," he said, "I think it's a shame that you are financially so hard up. All around you, these drunks are getting well and making money. But you're giving this work full time and you're broke. It isn't fair. Charlie fished in his desk and came up with an old financial statement. Handing it to me, he continued, "This shows the kind of money the hospital used to make back in the 1920s. Thousands of dollars a month. It should be doing just as well now, and it would if only you'd help me. So why don't you move your work in here? I'll give you an office, a decent drawing account, and a very healthy slice of the profits." 3 years ago, when my head doctor, Silkworth, began to tell me the idea of helping drunks by spirituality, I thought it was crackpot stuff. But I've changed my mind. Someday this bunch of ex-drunks of yours will fill Madison Square Garden, and I don't see why you should have to starve meanwhile. What I propose is perfectly ethical. You can become a lay therapist and more successful than anybody in the business. I was bowled over. There were a few twinges of conscience until I saw how really ethical Charlie's proposal was. There was nothing wrong whatever with becoming a lay therapist. I thought of Lois coming home exhausted from the department store each day, only to cook supper for a house full of drunks who weren't really paying board. I thought of the large sum of money still owing my Wall Street creditors. I thought a few of my alcoholic friends who were making as much money as ever. Why shouldn't I do as well as they? "24 hours a day, May 8th. AA thought for the day. I'm grateful that I found a program in AA that could keep me sober. I'm grateful that AA has shown me the weight of faith in a higher power, because the renewing of that faith has changed my way of life. And I have found a happiness and contentment that I had forgotten existed by simply believing in God and trying to live the kind of life that I know He wants me to live. As long as I stay grateful, I'll stay sober. Am I in a grateful frame of mind?" Meditation for the day. God can work through you better when you are not hurrying. Go very slowly, very quietly, from one duty to the next, taking time to rest and pray between. Do not be too busy. Take everything in order. Venture often into the rest of God and you'll find peace. All work that results from resting with God is good work. Claim the power to work miracles in human lives. Know that you can do many things through your higher power. Know that you can do good things through God who rests you and gives you strength. Partake regularly of rest and prayer. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may not be in too much of a hurry. I pray that I may take time out often to rest with God. Daily Reflection, May 8th. Our resting place. All of AA's 12 steps ask us to go contrary to our natural desires. They all deflate our egos. When it comes to ego deflation, a few steps are harder to take than 5. But scarcely any step is more necessary to long-time sobriety and peace of mind than this one. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 55. After writing down my character defects, I was unwilling to talk about them and decided that it was time to stop carrying this burden alone. I needed to confess those defects to someone else. I had read and had been told that I could not stay sober unless I did. Step 5 provided me with a feeling of belonging, with humility and serenity when I practice it in my daily living. It was important to admit my defects of character in the order presented in Step 5, to God, to ourselves, and to another human being. Admitting to God first paved the way for admission to myself and to another person. As the taking of the steps is described, a feeling of being at one with God and my fellow man brought me to a resting place where I could prepare myself for the remaining steps toward a full and meaningful sobriety. All right, my friends. Wow, some great stuff today. All about rest, right? Man, those last two readings were very, very similar. But I love in the 24 hours a day, it says here, I am grateful that AA has shown me a way to faith in a higher power, because the renewing of that faith has changed my way of life. For sure. I mean, I was a Christian before the steps, but I think that I still had some prejudice and some bias and maybe some childhood stuff that made me question whether or not my higher power would always be there. You know, I used to think that my higher power would abandon me if I broke X, Y, and Z, you know. But I remember when I came into the rooms, I kept hearing, well, keep an open mind. You know, what would you like your higher power to be like? And then the more I tried to figure that out, I started realizing that my higher power is like that. And I was wrong all along. I had these old biases that he would leave me, and my higher power will never leave me nor forsake me. My higher power is kind of like that father in the prodigal son story that's waiting for me to come back home. Like, son, you're back. And somebody pointed it to my attention that he'd been out there, who knows, if you think about it, how many times did he come back out there waiting for his son to come back home? And the son didn't show up. And then finally, who knows how many days went by, maybe months or years went by. Finally, the son comes back. And the father doesn't say, I told you so, son. Look at you coming crawling back to me. He doesn't do that. He runs up to him, gives him a hug, and says, my son has returned. You know, and they celebrate. That's one of my favorite stories ever in the big, big book. And that's how I view my higher power. It's slightly different, you know, like in this is just Robology. My higher power is with me even when I'm being selfish. And he'll give me that gentle nudge through the steps. Like, hey man, you did that wrong. Go make it right. Hey, why don't you pray about this situation today? Or, hey, why don't you go help that person over there? That's my child too. I don't know. It's great stuff. But sorry, I got on that tangent there. But yeah, my higher power, the view of my higher power has been completely changed my way of life. And then the next line, I have found a happiness and contentment that I had forgotten existed. Now, as a father, and maybe other parents out there with little ones, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Have you ever had your child so excited about something that they do the like the squeal? Have you ever had that? I see my son and my daughter do that, and it takes me back. I remember I would get so excited about certain things that I would do that same exact excited squeal. Like I couldn't even contain myself. I was so excited. For instance, one day my dad surprised me. We had a pool in our backyard in Gloucester City, and there was a hole in the liner, and it sat abandoned for a couple of years, right? And then eventually my dad and my mom got a divorce, and my dad would pick my sister and me up every other weekend and take us over to his house back in Gloucester. Well, one day on a Friday evening, he takes us home in the parking lot, or in his driveway. And just as we're about to get out of the car, he goes, oh, by the way, I got a surprise for you in the backyard. So I get out of the car, we open the back gate, and I still remember to this day, I'm looking at the pool, and I see this giant floaty. I think it was a giant alligator or something floating in the pool. And it takes me a second to process, oh my gosh, the pool is fixed. And he even rigged up a light that shined over the pool so we could swim at night. So, buddy, I did the excited squeal. I was so surprised and happy. And we swam out there all night. I am a water bug. And man, I just stayed out there. It was the best. So I say all that to say this. That kind of childish joy In sobriety, we can feel that sometimes in the simplest things. And I love how the meditation talks about the rest, right? When I actually rest and I take inventory of everything that's around me, I realize how blessed I am, how grateful I am. But it takes sometimes slowing down. Because, we're programmed to work almost, and work is good. I love work. But I can get caught up in the work stress. I can get caught up in trying to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, scratching everything off the list, right? And before long, I'm stressed out and I've got tunnel vision. And I'm going through the motions. So the bottom line is, in sobriety, through gratitude and taking inventory of all the blessings in my life, oh man. And it's not just that excited squeal, right? That's great when that happens. But even in the storms, I can still be grateful and joyful. Beautiful stuff. But anyways, guys, I rambled on way over. I hope you all have a great day today. Please know, as always, I don't speak on behalf of AA, NA, Allen, on any other sect. I am just a joyful drunk in this lifeboat of recovery. Honored to be here. And if we are given another set of 24 hours, my friends, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.